Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy you're here today on this very foggy Saturday. Let me just start by saying that Richmond is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Coast Salish people. So we are guests in this land, and for this, we are very grateful. Also, we have to give thanks to the Richmond Nature Park and also to the Richmond News, who promoted this very special event with our community. We are gonna draw flowers. Today we are celebrating International Flower Day. And you're gonna be like, what is winter? There's no flowers. No, there are. We're gonna draw here at the 10th session, we're gonna draw the snowdrop. And later we're going to draw the crocus, and I'm going to paste the link after we're done so you can join even if you didn't register. So how about that? So that being said, I'm going to use, as always, a sharpener to keep my pencil sharp, just a regular eraser. I have a 2B graphite pencil, but any graphite pencil would do. And if you've been drawing with me these past months, you know that I like always to sketch at the beginning with a blue. The one I'm using is a non-photo blue, but any light blue would do. So yeah, International Flower Day, and it's winter, and you can be like, how can there be flowers in wintertime? Well, this is a very, very special flower, the one that we are going to draw today. It's called Snowdrop. And the first thing we're going to see, I don't know if you would like to turn your page, depending how tall you would like it to be. I'm going to continue like this because of the format of the screen, but just a heads up that it's going to be a tall flower. So we're going to start making a little circle here because this flower, just so you know that flowers that are, some flowers come from seeds, some flowers are what we call perennial, and the snowdrop is a perennial flower. I'm going to write that down, perennial. I think perennial has two N's, and perennial means that it can survive throughout the winter under the surface. And this circle that we're drawing here, actually, I might do a little bit smaller one. And that's why I like using the non-photo blue pencil, because I can sketch a little bit. That's my, guess what? My bulb. This is going to be under the surface. And that's going to, so we're going to start like here, and the flower is going to come all the way up. We're going to leave some room here for the roots. But the first thing we need to know is that from the bulb, we're going to draw a tiny line, and we're not going to make it too long because I'm going to draw with this format. If you have the paper the other way, you can totally make it taller. But this part here is like a rectangle, and it comes from the bulb. Do you see that? Actually, if you want to center a little bit, that would be a little bit better. So let me do that again. So around here. And we're going to use the graphite after. So this is just our blueprint. So this is our bulb. And this has a very interesting name. I'm going to write it when I go into graphite because it's not a stem. The stem comes from here. And this is a very funny part. We're going to draw two lines. One is going to be our line for the leaves, and one line is going to be for the stem that has the flower. So for the leaves, I'm just going to make a curved line like this. I'm going to press a little bit harder so you can see it. Because guess what? Snowdrops have two leaves, 1 and 2. And I'm going to draw the leaf after with the graphite, but this is just so we know where those leaves are. Now it looks like, I don't know, like a light bulb with two cables. That's it, or like a Christmas ornament, doesn't it? The other stem, the other line that we're going to draw, that's a funny one. And I want you to see it first, and then you're going to draw yours. The flower is going to be around here. So I'm just going to make a very light circle. So choose where your flower is going to be. And after you chose where your flower is going to be, I'm just going to make a circle like this, a line like this, and then a line like that. And I'm going to do it again so you can draw it with me. First, I made a circle, and I'm not pressing very hard because this is just where the flower is going to be. But what I like the most is to connect this circle to this rectangle. And I use curves. And the most important is this one. It's like a semicircle. One semicircle that comes up to here, and then kind of an S. One S that joins here. And this is our blueprint. That is our blueprint. And you're going to be like, how is this going to become a flower? I know. I'm going to go through all of these parts again so you can catch up, okay? First, we started with the bulb, which is this circle here, and all the roots are going to come out of here. It's like crazy hairs. Then I drew a rectangle in the middle, and then I drew 3 lines, 2 on the right side that are going to be, each and one of them are going to be our 2 leaves. And then I draw another line that is curvy in the top and then curvy at the bottom. And now, because you have to understand, this is all like approximately around here. Like, yeah, this is all, you know what? I'm going to just change to graphite to show you that this is below the surface. So the bulb and this structure, I'm going to write down because it's a very cool name. It's called cataphyll. What? Who came up with that name? I know. So let's draw our flower, shall we? Let's draw our plant. The first thing when I switch to graphite is I'm going to start by making this bulb. Now I'm using that as a reference. It's like a light bulb and it opens around here. So I'm just going to start with my graphite, making a little line there. And this bulb is going to open with it's like 2 lips that are opening like a beak of a bird. Doesn't it look like a beak? And then this bulb, I don't have to necessarily follow the blueprint, but just to make sure that the bulb is round and it's a little bit flatter at the bottom. And then it has a lot of roots. And we're not going to draw all of them, but a trick, you can use your imagination because they're very curly. So you can make, for example, 2 or 3 crazy cables. And then the trick is to do the same line parallel to the previous. And parallel lines are just lines that are side by side, but they never meet. And then you just, at the end, you just round the end a little bit. So now we have a crazy root right there. And I'm going to make another crazy root here. And it's a very, very delicate part of the plant. All the nutrients that this flower needs come from the roots that absorb all the water and the nutrients. All the nutrients come from the soil, absorb. And because it's a perennial flower, they get all accumulated here. This is like, I don't know, like a refrigerator. And like the pantry, all the nutrients get stored here. And that's how it can survive almost like 2 years. In the winter time, all the nutrients continue coming here. And now we're going to have fun with the caterpillar. The caterpillar is very interesting. It's like a sheath. We're going to use that cylinder that I drew. And at the top, it also opens up a little bit. Like also opens up like these two little nice lips here, like this beak. And here, well, it has also like a lot of texture. We can draw the lines later with colored pencil. So all the nutrients continue, they go through the caterpillar, and the nutrients are now gonna feed the leaves and the flower. And you know what? It's super fun because for the leaves, they're like triangular. So I'm going to start to draw the leaf using that blue line that we use as if it was the middle. So I'm going to start from the end, and it ends, you know, this is interesting because you might have seen how some leaves are they have like little dents in the surface, and then they have little veins. This is a type of leaf. This is a different leaf. This leaf is very long and very flat. So I'm going to draw that here, and I'm going to show you a trick to draw a leaf that is, guess what? Bent. Oh, so we can see one side and the other side. So let's do that here, shall we? We're going to start by drawing a piece that is, it almost looks like a smile. If I flip the paper, I only need to add the teeth. And then once we have these, it's like a hat. I don't know what it does. Maybe it reminds you of something else. I'm going to continue this line to the very beginning. And then I'm going to make the rest thicker. And then it's going to meet the rest of the leaf. And suddenly we have a leaf that is, we can see both sides. I see here that I could have done this. I'm going to use my eraser so I can maybe start the hat a little bit early. There we go. So we use the eraser all the time. Don't worry at all when you need to use the eraser. So that's our leaf on one side, and the other leaf, I'm just going to make it simple, just like that. So I'm going to make the other leaf like this, and then it's going to follow my blueprint, and it's going to get in there. And all, you see, all the sunlight is needed for this plant to do the photosynthesis. That's how she gets, so all the nutrients come from here, all the sun comes from here. And this is my favorite part, Snowdrops are so interesting. So interesting. I also, wow, I have to tell you so many awesome things about this flower. The first thing we're gonna do is draw a little shape like this. I actually don't know what shape that is. I don't know if it's a circle, a triangle with an empty gap, but we're going to draw that shape there, where you made that line joining the flower with the stem. And then we're going to draw our petals. And you guess what? It has 6. And they're not called petals, they're called tepals with a T. And it has 3 outside and 3 inside. So we're going to draw, they're very long, and I want to show you, maybe I will switch to the blue to show you how to draw them, because they're long and they're going to follow our circle. So approximately until here. And they have an oval shape. So maybe with the blue, we can draw our first. And then on the other side, our second. And if they leave the circle, don't worry too much. And we're only going to see the two that are here. The other one is going to be in the back. I'm going to draw it because I have Superman X-ray vision, and I can see the petal that is right behind. So these are the three ones that are outside, three outside. And they call them is the outside world, which I find like super fun word. And then inside they have another world, and it's called three inside world. It's such a fun name. So the inside ones are tinier, and I'm going to see two. And to draw them, I'm just going to make a line in the middle and divide these in two. And this is going to be much clearer when we switch to the graphite. I'm going to do it very slowly so you can see. Where the petal joins with this structure here that is called the ovary, it's going to be much thinner. But then it becomes the oval that we drew. And it's beautiful, long. It's much longer and it's much curved. So that's going to be our first petal. The second petal is going to be exactly the same, but we're going to draw it here. So we start a little bit thinner where it joins the ovary. And then it thickens, and then again, it curves a little bit. It's long, it's curvy. There we go. So that is the two ones that we can see. Because imagine, I'm going to try to do it with the three colors I have here. So if this is if these are the three petals, let's see, like this, one would be in the back. The black, the dark green is in the back, but we only see the graphite and the light green. So that's what's happening here. Let's draw the two petals that we see inside for the same reason. There would be, if we see it from the top, we can see, if we see these from the top, we can see one petal, two petals, three petals in the outside, and 1, 2, and 3 in the inside. But because we're seeing it from the side, we are going to see only. That's why it's so important to, if you see a flower, you can see it. You have to see it from all points of view. We're going to, these petals in the inside have a very nice shape. It reminds me of tiny pants. So that's one petal. And another petal. It's like tiny, tiny, tiny pants. And the thing that I like the most is that inside they have kind of like a hard shape that I'm just going to draw in graphite, but we're going to color it later because it's a very vivid green. And it has like a color of the shape of a heart. If I flip the page, or like a smile too. Then I'm going to draw the other petal that was behind. And I'm not going to draw the lines here because it's behind. And this is our snowdrop. And it closes and it opens depending on the temperature. So I'm going to draw 2 arrows to show that the flower opens and closes. Flower opens and closes depending on the temperature. And I'm going to draw a thermometer. So when it's very cold, it's going to close. And when it's warmer, it's going to open. Let's draw the stem. The stem is very cool because we are going to draw it until here. because it has another structure there. To make curvy lines is so difficult. We're going to do 1 and 2 lines that are parallel to join the ovary with this part here that is called the peduncle. And the reason why I didn't continue drawing until here is, guess what? Because it has a structure that when the snowdrop comes, it's like cover, it's like a sheath. It's like all cover and protecting it. And when it comes out, it opens a little bit. And it's very simple. I am going to maybe just draw it briefly with the blue pencil. And it always reminds me, I don't know, it all reminds me like a beak. Everything reminds me like beaks. Like a beak, like, like a big beak. So we're going to use that curve to join those structures. So yeah, there we go. Approximately something like that. I don't know what is that shape, but it reminds me of a beak. So it has maybe a little bit of teeth at the top. Well, I don't think it's teeth, but it looks like it. And then a very nice curve. And the same here. And I'm going to show you how this looks like when it's closed. So you get an idea on how important that is. So when this is closed, and I can draw that here. So this sheath is just all covering that bud. And it's very important because guess what? This has when it's winter, it's all snow, it's frozen. This allows these tips of the leaves and this structure, which by the way is called the spathe, allows the snowdrop to break through the snow and be one of the first flowers of the new year. That's why it's so exciting to see them, because you know spring is coming and it brings so much hope. They are a flower that is known for bringing hope. This path ends here and now it continues normally as the flowering stem. So that is the flowering stem. So many things, I know, it's so interesting. I really like to learn about this flower. Also, you might be like, but why is this flower facing down? All the flowers should be facing up. Well, it's because it's not shy. It's not a shy flower. It's because all the pollen that is there, it needs to stay dry. So if it was looking up, it would dry very quickly. It would freeze during winter. So that way is protected. So for example, bees and butterflies, but especially bees can go in wintertime and get all their nectar. And guess what? There is not a single animal that eats the bulbs. The bulbs are toxic, very poisonous. So I'm going to write that here. You might have seen this sign when things are poisonous. There's like a skull and like 2 bones cross, like pirate symbol. Yeah, it's super poisonous. Poison. So the rats know that it's poisonous. Deer, rabbits, squirrels, everyone knows it's very poisonous. So no one eats it. And that's her mechanism also for surviving. And they're white. They're all white. And it's one of these few flowers that you can only find them white. And as we said, it has only two leaves, so you can identify it very easily. And I'm going to draw a title here because I want to say something about the name of this flower. So we know it as the snowdrop, which, by the way, I read somewhere that Snow White was going to be named Snowdrop. And last minute, the original story changed it to Snow White. But wouldn't that be funny? Snowdrop and Seven Dwarfs. So Snowdrop is also called galanthus. And you might have heard that word. Galanthus. G-A-L-A-N. I don't want to misspell it. Galanthus. With an H. Let's see. There it is, my H. And galanthus means milk flower. That means milk flower. But also, guess what? The name Snowdrop is because the Dutch like these very much. And you might have seen, I'm going to try to draw it here. You might have seen a very famous painting of a little girl that is looking at us and is smiling. And she's wearing a turban, which is what at that time Dutch women wore. And in her ear, there is something. It's a pearl earring. You might have seen this painting by a painter called Vermeer. So that is an eardrop. And that's why this flower was called the snowdrop, because they reminded them of these it was very popular at that time to have a pearl earring. And that's why it's called, isn't that interesting? Also, there's something, while we add some color, and I have some green, I have some browns. The thing I like the most is the tiny green here. That's what's gonna tell that this is a snowdrop. Those little green areas in the inside whorl. And then you notice how I strongly color that, but usually I like to start a little bit very, very light with just one color. Just one color. And you're going to see why. Because we are going to create very different shades of green just with one green. For the spath is a little bit lighter. So I'm even going to go a little bit lighter. If it was a big surface, I would hold my pencil like this. But because it's tiny, I'm just going to go very lightly, very lightly. And then it comes back into kind of a darker, but still I'm going to start very light. And I notice in the photos that I've seen as reference that this is a different type of green, but I'm going to start with the same green just to give it a little bit of tone. And I might also color the example that I put here. And then I think for the spath, I think I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. And that's what I like about color pencil, is that we can mix on the paper as we wish. For these, I think I am going to use, let's see what I have here. I think I'm going to use a different green. And if you have different greens, you can try them on the page and be like, yeah, I like that one. Yeah, I'm going to use this one here. Because also you have to think that because it's under the surface, maybe I should have maybe the actual surface might have been a little bit over because this is under. So let me just go with my brown and make sure that all these is covered. And I will erase a little bit that line here. We all learn as we go. There we go. And depending how tall your plant was, you have to remember that the caterpillar is under the surface. And it has a different type of green. And I wonder if that's because maybe it's the sun, it doesn't see the sun, and it has a lot of texture. And I'm gonna draw with my color pencil, I'm gonna make those lines. And that's something that if I draw with the graphite, it would be too dark. So you can always draw with your color pencil. And that's super cool. Or with your crayons, because I know some of you are using crayons, and that's cool. So after that, I'm gonna add a little bit of shadow here by pressing a little bit harder. And also I'm gonna press a little bit harder on one side only, just to add a little bit of volume. For the, let's see, let's finish with the leaves. Remember that I used just one green. I'm gonna now press a little bit harder, but only on one half. And do you see what that's doing? That's creating an area where there is more light and an area that is a little bit darker. And that's how you can create volume by changing how you color a drawing. Because remember, if the sun is coming from here, this will be light and this would be dark. If the sun is coming from here, then it would be the other way around. Let's do, in this case, I don't know why I draw the sun here. I might actually change the sun. And I'm gonna draw the sun here. So it makes sense with the shadows that I drew. We improvise as we go. We leave that space to draw something to add a super, super duper interesting thing. For example, that these tips of the leaves are very hard and they allow the snowdrop to come from the snow. Also, just so you know, inside, there's something called sap, which if you've seen aphids in flowers, that's what the aphids are eating, all the sap. Well, the sap of the snowdrop, it's an antifreeze. What? An antifreeze is also what cars have. So guess what? They have something in common with your car's antifreeze. We put antifreeze on the car so the water to clean to wipe the glass of the car in winter doesn't freeze. So guess what? In nature, this plant has antifreeze inside of her. Isn't that clever? That's super clever. I'm going to change to a darker green. Let's see what I have here. I'm going to try this green. Yeah, I like that green because the leaves are a little bit darker. And remember that thing that we did there? I'm going to color darker underneath. Just a little bit underneath. And then I'm going to stop pressing hard. And now I'm going to color a little bit dark here and stop pressing hard. And now I see that the light comes from here, creates a shadow. And I just made a very 3D leaf. And if I find that this color, I don't know, I might go very light. Very light, so all has the same tone. But yeah, the important thing is that this leaf is bent and we have created this effect by adding that shadow there. This leaf, we went much more simple. We are so much more simple with this one. So I'm just going to make sure that here is a little bit darker. And then suddenly I press lighter, 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 and then we can see the same tone. And what are we going to do with the peduncle? It's the same thing. I'm going to draw a little bit, press a little bit harder there where it meets the spathe. And then I'm just going to continue one side only a little bit harder. And also the ovary. And for the ovary, I'm just adding a little bit of shadow also at the bottom. Because it looks like an object that would be a little bit like a sphere. There we go. And also for the flowering stem, the spathe also is interesting because I have seen that not only it's a little bit lighter, but it dries out. I'm going to write that down. It dries out. So after the flower emerges, there's nothing really for this spathe left to do. So he just takes a break and is like, I'm done. I protected the flower. My job is done. Bye-bye. And he dries. So you might see that maybe starting to dry out. So I might add a little bit of orangey at the tip here because it's starting to dry out. It remains attached, but it becomes much, much drier. And what are we going to do with, I'm going to leave the flower for the end. It's my favorite part, and we're doing great with time. So I'm going to go with the bulb. And if you have a brown, you see, I use this brown a lot. That's why it's so tiny. So I'm going to start. This is, I'm going to show you ways to color round things. Even though it's under the surface, the light principles apply as well. So I'm going to start by being very gentle, very gently adding brown. But I'm going to leave an area that is not covered right here. Don't worry, if you added an arrow like I did, that's okay. We don't worry about that. And also when you're coloring, you can explore coloring, making like circles. Ooh, or lines. But by holding the pencil like this, I don't see any lines. It creates a very nice texture. And once we have done this first pass of color, I am going to press a little bit harder. And I'm going to start here. And we're only going to press harder on this half. It's like a moon. So I'm going to press a little bit harder. A little bit harder, making this like semicircle or like a half moon shape. And look what's going on. So now we have 3 different values. We have white, the paper, we have the light brown and the dark brown. So now I'm going to try to create another one in the middle by pressing a little bit hard, but not as hard. It's almost as if this dark, dark brown suddenly became this light brown. What? Look how much volume. That is amazing. And now, after you've done that, you can go and experiment. If you have an orange, why not adding a little bit of orange? Even on the area that is light, why not? Let's try what happens. What? Now I have a brown and an orange. That's crazy. What? And what would happen if I add a little bit of red? Let's see. Oh, nice. So now that you have the basic shading with the brown, you can experiment and add colors. Like for example, yeah, now I can see that red better. So yeah, take a risk and experiment because there's no wrong or right. I'm even going to use a blue. What? Yeah, I'm going to use a blue here. Oh my goodness, I like it so much. Well, I'm going to color the roots, and I'm going to use, because the roots are under, they're not going to be the most colorful thing, but I'm just going to add a little bit of color. And because I want to add volume, I'm going to just color half of it, like the same thing that we did with the stem. So maybe the easiest thing is just to make a line. Yeah. And not only, I mean, it doesn't have only 3. So with the brown, I'm going to make other ones, other crazy, crazy, crazy lines. And some are in the top and some are at the bottom. And this is like crazy hairs. Crazy, crazy. There we go. Yeah, we have now all our roots. I'm going to redraw, because sometimes when you add color, some of the things get a little bit lost. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow where the root joins the bulb. And yeah, I'm going to go with a little bit of graphite again, because sometimes lines get lost. And you know, you can add, I've seen that bulbs sometimes have like, they kind of have like things, like it looks like they peel. So I'm going to just make random lines with brown. Yeah, to add a little bit of texture, because it's a very, yeah, it's sturdy and it's under the soil, so it has a lot of texture. So I just, yeah, make some lines with brown to make it more, yeah. We're very brave in this sessions, yeah. Oh, and guess what? While I redraw some of the lines that I lost, guess what? Even though the bulb is super poisonous, snowdrops produce a substance called galanthus. And these, look, gala, oh, that is related. Galantamine, actually, it is helpful in the treatment of Alzheimer's. So it has a medicinal use, but it's very toxic. So this is only, yeah, it's very toxic. So this needs to be properly done. And also collecting is illegal. That's very important. You're not allowed to, I'm going to put a totally forbidden stop, no collecting, because it's a protected species and it's illegal to collect them. So that's something very important, but you can love them. You can love these flowers. And if you love the galanthus, guess what? People who love the galanthus are called, they have a name, and they're called galantophiles, because phile means love and the galanto is galanthus. So I think I am a galantophile. I think I am one of those people. Let's do the flower. We know that is white, but white also can have shadows. And you can be like, but how can I make a shadow? How can I make a white thing have a shadow? We're going to use a blue and we're going to use a yellow. So we're going to go very, very, very gently with our colors. And we're going to start with the back petal. We're going to be very gentle with our blue, only adding it at the very top. And then lifting the color pencil or the crayon so we don't reach the tip. And we're going to go again and add a little bit of dark. So every time we press a little bit harder. So now the petal that is behind has this nice yellow shadow. We're going to do the same thing with the inner whorl. Just a little bit of blue here at the top. A little bit of blue because it's behind. Things that are behind other things might have a little bit of shadow. Maybe in between these two, there's a little bit of shadow too, but they're on the same whorl, so they are not overlapping each other. And then this petal here also has a little bit of shadow here. If you see the blue that we used at the beginning, it's almost invisible. And that's why I like starting with that. So I'm going very gently here too. A little bit of shadow here because the sun is there. And look how gently we are with the blue, because we want to make sure that this flower is still white. It's not a blue one. And then with the yellow, we're just gonna add on top of the shadows. And that's gonna make it a little bit warmer, but very lightly. I forgot to add a little bit of shadow here. What? Look at our snowdrop. This is amazing. I'm gonna use also some of the colors that I use for the snowdrop for the title. And we have just enough time so I can tell you how is this flower gonna multiply. And guess what? This bulb here is, I'm gonna write it down with my graphite. When it comes time to replicate, it creates tiny bulbs, boop, tiny bulbs, boop. And these are called offsets. So gardeners, because gardeners love these. In the UK, you can find gardens and gardens of snowdrops. So they separate the offsets and they put them somewhere else. So these can also become a full plant, because if they put them closer, if they leave them closer, they might compete and they might not develop as well. So I'm going to use that. So that's super cool. I found that super cool and super interesting. And let's see. They're everywhere. You know, I found that they're native of Europe and also Southwestern Asia. So I'm going to just, let's see, where can I put that here? Everywhere. Now you can find them everywhere, although they're native of Europe and Southwestern Asia, because people like them so much that now we can see them in North America too. I'm going to use a little bit of brown here. And as always, you can use your graphite to redraw. And in this case, I'm going to be super bold and I'm going to use the brown to redraw the bulb, because I think that's going to make it stand out very nice. Oh yeah. And it's under the soil, so I'm just going to make sure that I add a little bit of soil here. And I don't want to forget to add a little bit of color to our girl with the pearl earring. If I don't remember this wrong, I think this part is blue. The background is very dark, but I think that's blue. And I think, if I don't remember this wrong, that this is this color. And I think she's wearing a light brown coat. So I'm going to mix two colors here. I think I seem to remember. And her face is very pale, but she is wearing that pearl earring, and the background is very dark, so I wanted to make sure that I add color. Now we know why this flower got her name. And I'm going to continue in the time that we have left. I'm going to continue adding a little bit of color to the title. And also, let's see, what are the things I said already, that because it's one of the first actually flowers to come out in the spring. It even comes out in January. It symbolizes like hope and spring, and you know that spring is coming, and it's very cool. I'm going to use this to color these. So if you liked this session, we are going to draw crocuses, another amazing winter perennial flower. So I'm going to stop drawing for a second and I'm going to copy the link into the chat, and I'm going to give you enough time to copy it and paste it so you can join me, because I would really like to continue drawing together. I'm going to add a little bit of green around the caterpillar. I'm using so many different greens. I love it. I am experimenting today using all sorts of greens. I really hope that you are experimenting too. The other link I'm going to paste right now is where all these sessions are recorded, and I put a lot of other sessions there. And I also recorded a lot of sessions on drawing bugs. So you're going to find a lot of cool things there as well. So those are the two links that I just paste. And while I finish this, I remind you that if you want to send your drawings to the Nature House, please do, because then they share them with me. And I love to see what you've done. And they're very creative, and everyone has a different style. And that's why it's so cool, because everyone has very, very different styles. I'm actually going to be even more daring, and I'm going to, with another brown, I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow here, and also a little bit of a shadow here. Wow, I'm so brave. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You can be brave too. Let's be brave and add colors, and then you can put this drawing in the on the refrigerator, not on. So everyone can see all the hard work that you've done this morning. I'm adding a little bit of brown also around the roots. And then I'm going to redraw the arrows for all the nutrients that come and get storage here. And then when it comes time to come out, the first one of the first plants to come out, they can feed all these nutrients, go through the leaves and also through the flowering stem. Now it's 10:53 according to my watch. So I am going to finish this now to get ready for the next session. But I really hope that you had an awesome time.